And I'll call to order the June 7, 2017 regular meeting of the Township of Lopatcong Township Council. Let's see, we have to make a motion to come out of executive session?
Yes.
May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then I'll read the notice. Adequate notice. This meeting has been provided indicating time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975. By advertising a notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times, and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. A moment of silence and prayer. Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll have a roll call, Beth, please.
Yes. Councilman Valcaro?
Here.
Councilman Toledo?
Here.
Councilman Wright?
Here.
Council President Pryor?
Here.
Mayor McKay?
Here. Okay. I guess you want to do your little thing?
Sure.
Yeah.
Council is in executive session for approximately 1 hour. Topics of discussion are generally as discussed on the agenda. Number 1, personnel grievance. Number 2, personnel. Number 3, attorney-client privilege, Sycamore Landing Sewer. Number 4, potential litigation tort claims notice. Number 5, attorney-client privilege, planning board issues. Number 6 was not addressed during executive session. In fact, that should be under old business to approve the LAA contract as amended. The minutes from executive session will be available at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to open up the floor for public comment, agenda items only, just agenda items. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's open. Sir.
My name is John Betts. I'm in Berkeley Gardens.
John, can you do me a favor? Can you turn the mic towards you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Betts. I'm in Berkeley Gardens over on Red School Lane, Y14. I'm glad to see on the agenda this evening at least the consideration for the ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 132, heat rental properties, regulating heat rental properties. We had very cold seasons both last year, in the beginning of the winter, and in May this year. It's been carried on. So I'm glad to see that's there. I hope that you would consider it.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any agenda item comments? Does not appear that we do, so I'll take a motion to close public
I'll
comment.
make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go to old business. First item under old business, approve the minutes. Executive session and regular session for May 3rd, 2017, and the special budget workshop of April 19, 2017.
I'll make a motion to approve those as written.
Do I have a second? Second. Well, we have to roll call, right? Yeah.
That's fine. Councilman Valcaro?
Yes.
Councilman Toledo?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Yes. Adoption of the 2017 budget. Is there going to be a presentation on this matter?
I think you have to do number 2 first.
What? Oh,
Just skip one.
I did. Ordinance number 1703, second reading and public hearing to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Do I have a motion to approve that, or do we want to discuss it?
Well, you do. You have to open it up first.
Yeah, I need a motion.
I will make that motion.
All right.
I'll second it.
All right, so now we're open into the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll open into the public hearing. Is there a presentation that you guys need to make at this point? I don't think so. Okay. So, are there any questions on this during this public hearing? Okay. Being that there's no questions from the audience, I would take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll take a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Third one that I put out of order before, adoption of the 2017 budget. What?
You close the public hearing, you have to do a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Oh, that's correct. We'll take a motion to adopt ordinance 1703.
I will make that motion.
I need a second. Second. Okay, roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes. Adoption of the 2017 budget, finally.
Anxious to get to it.
You have to open it for a public hearing.
Yes. Motion to open the public hearing? Motion. Second.
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
Oh, that's all in favor, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're open for public comment on the 2017 budget. Okay, I see no public comments, so I'll take a motion to close the public portion of the meeting on the budget.
Motion to close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to, take a motion to approve the 2017 budget.
I'll make that motion.
I'll take a second.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to stop you just 1 second because we have a resolution for the adoption of the budget. And I'm just going to read what the municipal amount is, which is $4,727,675.35. And then the open space recreation farmland historic preservation trust fund levy would be $261,283. So now we have a motion to adopt.
I will make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes. Number 4 is to authorize work on a compensation plan for employees, which is to be performed by Jersey Professional Management. Now, which option would that be? They gave us 3 options, I recall.
Well, no, Jersey Professional Management didn't give us 3 options.
Yeah,
We
3
had a couple of
packages.
companies that we came, talked to, and we gave them a list of, titles that we wanted to have them research. And now the money was 16.6.
There was a second firm, I think you may be
Yeah, that's
getting
what I'm
it
saying. I had more than one
mixed
quote.
up with the second firm's approach.
Jersey Professional Management, right? Is that the one?
Right.
Just bear with me. Make sure we got it right. This one, and it ended like this. Task 1, Task 2, Task 3.
Well, they will complete all of those tasks within that, package deal.
Okay, so, I mean, they offered till I thought you could take 1 or 2,
No, no, no.
3.
He just laid it out in steps. How he was going to do it.
Okay, so the total on that is?
16.6.
All right, this is an outside firm that's going to come in and take a look at our employees and what they do and make recommendations to the council on it, whether or not the compensation they have is adequate, in basic terms. All right, I'll take a motion to approve this.
I'll make that motion.
I'll take a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes. Ordinance 1702, second reading and public hearing to require large hardened buildings to install radio booster equipment to support interior radio communications with law enforcement officers, firefighters, emergency medical personnel when radio communication deficiencies exist. I guess I have to open this to public hearing. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're opened on this. This is something at the recommendation of the police department and the county. Okay. We have no public comments. Take a motion to close.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
I guess we can do, all right, we'll do a roll
Motion to
call.
adopt?
Do
Motion to
a
adopt?
motion to adopt, do a roll call. Right?
Yes, motion to adopt.
Was it made?
No.
No, I'll make that
Yeah.
motion.
Second.
No, roll call. Councilman Valcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Fryer?
Yes.
Yes. Item 6, I'm adding now, it's not on your agenda, it's been moved from the executive, because it's an open item. It's the Lopatcong Athletic Association's final contract with the municipality. There had been some items that had not yet been finalized. Katrina finalized these items with them and worked back to us, and so now it's ready to approve. So,
These are the items that, at the last meeting, I gave you a list. These were some of the items that Brian came up with at the last, after he'd seen the contract. Beth was kind enough to draw them up from Brian's comments. I gave them all to you last month. And so all I did was take them and add them to the current agreement that you had already approved.
Right.
For easy reading, I underlined the sentences that are new.
okay, we saw that.
But it's nothing more than what was in the email from Beth.
The one question I had, there was an issue about if they dissolved, who got ownership of certain...
Yeah, so that was a suggestion that was made. I put it in there because you all had the email and I hadn't heard anything, so I figured we could always take it out. It basically says that if they dissolve, disband, or transfer everything to a nonprofit that you don't necessarily approve of, that any equipment that they gave you when they left, that you gave them when they left, they'd have to offer it back to you for free.
Yeah.
Now, if 20 years from now they disband, they're not going to have anything left, because anything they took with them, they're going to have to replace, these items and things. But the thought is that 2 years from now, if they go to another entity, and this is not what the township had envisioned, anything you gave them by way of equipment, they'd have to
Well,
offer
we
it
do
back
have
to
a
you.
10-year contract, right? They can't unilaterally leave in
That's true.
3 years.
Well, unless they thought you were breaching the contract, X, Y, and Z.
Well, that's another... All
Can
right,
of
I got you.
But the thought was, if they leave and do something other than what it was intended to do, these things that you gave to them, they would have to offer them back. And you may say, we have no use for a 10-year-old goalpost or whatever it is, but the thought is they'd have to offer it to you first.
Okay.
The other question I had, with the execution of this, they are fully independent, their funds get moved over, they're a 501c3, et cetera.
It gives them the right to do all of that. I'm not sure legally where they are. I'd have to see if
Yeah, I mean,
they're
I'd like
ready.
to implement the break as soon as...
Sure, as soon as they're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve this contract with its changes?
I will make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Valcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Fryer?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, moving right along to new business. First item is a request from resident to install a four-way stop at the intersection of South First and Edward Streets. Paul, have you looked at that?
Yes, I have, Mr. Mayor. Ordinarily, when you are considering a multi-way stop situation in your community, a traffic engineering investigation would have to be prepared, and you would be looking at such things as accident history at that particular intersection, slight distance obstructions, things that are like to support that type of ordinance, and the municipal engineer would have to prepare a certification to support that type of ordinance. Interestingly, in Title 39, there is an exception to that particular rule or requirement, and I'll just read it to you. It indicates, let me just paraphrase. What it indicates is that if this particular intersection that you're interested in having a multi-way stop at is located within 500 feet of a school or of a playground or youth recreational facility, there's a couple other criteria in there. But if you have that particular situation, you can place stop signs on both intersecting streets automatically. There's supposed to be a certification from the municipal engineer, but it does not require a traffic engineering investigation. So I believe this particular intersection is within 500 feet of a recreational field off of Edward Street. I would have to confirm that after tonight's meeting, but I believe it is within 500 feet. So if this is something that you as a governing body feel is in the interest of safety, we could actually prepare that ordinance for the next meeting and introduce it, and I would have my certification, because I believe in reading the criteria in this section of Title 39, we would meet all that particular criteria, and I'd be able to issue that certification. So in summary, I think you can do this ordinance because you're within 500 feet of this particular recreation field.
Well, thank you for that, Paul.
I do have a couple questions.
Sure, Paul.
I don't necessarily object to the four-way. I have a thing about jumping straight in four ways. I happen to live in Delaware Crossing. I use that intersection 8 times a day. The traffic volume is not a problem by any means. It's the visibility at the intersection. The one fella, his hedges have encroached, and then the house on the corner has the number of cars parked right up to the intersection. There's just 20 criteria that you can meet any one of them for no parking, and maybe we trim those hedges back. That would be a less intrusive alternative. I don't necessarily object to the four-way, but you know, maybe we don't have to go that far that fast.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that council can do, if this is an area of interest, is I can go out to the intersection and look at what's going on at the intersection, look at the on-street parking on all 4 legs of the intersection, and sight distance, impediments. I don't think traffic volume is going to be a big issue there, at least on Edward Street.
When the ball games are on, parking is full bore.
So that's another
I'd
thing.
feel better if you looked at it and took one more look and then
Report back.
next month.
Okay. If,
No.
if the council, I guess, let me say, if I find that after looking at things, that the 4-way stop sign would be the best way to go, would you want me to come back to the meeting not only with my findings of my review of the intersection, but also a draft ordinance so that you could introduce it to the next meeting?
That would speed things
Yeah,
up.
sure.
I mean, I rely on your judgment.
Okay. All right, I'll take care of that for you. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's on hold to the next meeting. Paul's going to do some additional work. Exercise extension in Township's wastewater collection contract with Chapman.
Yeah. We have a contract with Chapman to do the operation and maintenance of our wastewater system, and there is, it's a 2-year contract with a 1-year extension, and we'd like to opt for that extension. In lieu of going out to bid all over again, we can get a 1-year extension.
And keep the same rate?
Yes.
I think there's a minor
There might be a
escalator.
minor-
There's an escalator in there.
It might be a minor.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's predefined.
Okay, if that's what you recommend,
We have been doing that. The idea originally was, if the firm didn't work out, we could get rid of them sooner. But if they were working out, we could keep them for the 3rd year and take our time, reprocuring. So,
okay.
be my recommendation, we give them the extension.
All right, I'll take a motion to extend the contract.
I will make that motion.
I'll take a second.
Second.
I'll take a roll call vote, Beth, please.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Zia?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor McKinney?
Yes. Ordinance 21704, first reading to amend the salary ordinance to put in place a step level for pool lifeguards. Now, do we have that?
Yes, it's in your packet.
Is it? Okay, this ordinance would, make the rate for the lifeguards in 2018, as follows: level 1, $8.40 an hour; level 2, $9.90 an hour; level 3, $10.90 per hour; and level 4, $12 an hour.
I'm going to read the next paragraph, too.
The lifeguard scheduled to work. Pool parties contracted separately will be paid a party rate of $3 per hour additional to the regular level of pay. This will take effect for all parties scheduled after the adoption of the ordinance scheduled for the July council meeting. For the 2017 season, lifeguards returning from the 2016 season, working a 4-hour shift, will receive a food voucher for each shift. The township will purchase a T-shirt and a sweatshirt for returning 2016 lifeguards for the 2017 season. These additional perks will only apply to the seasoned lifeguards who have worked at the municipality prior to the 2017 season. The ordinance shall take effect immediately upon passage and publication according to law NJSA 4069A-181, subparagraph B. Okay,
So if you're so inclined to pass this ordinance, you would pass it, you would introduce it tonight as first reading, and the public hearing and adoption would be next meeting.
all right, so then we will introduce this for a first hearing tonight with the,
That's really
A
not a
motion?
hearing, right? It's just a first
Just an
reading.
first
introduction.
reading. We don't have to approve the first reading?
You do. You just have
But it's
to
not,
motion
no
to
hearing.
approve. Just an introduction.
Right.
Motion to introduce.
Yeah. Motion to introduce. I'll take a motion.
I will make the motion.
I'll take a second.
Second.
Is all in favor on that, good?
It is.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Ordinance 2017-05. First reading to amend ordinance 1506 to authorize the township CFO to pay certain bills, claims, and invoices between meetings. I didn't see this one before. I'm wondering what this is. This is, it used to be that the mayor and, right, would authorize that under the ordinance, I think.
I think there was limitations on the dollar amount.
Oh, okay. You introduced an ordinance in 2015 that allowed the mayor and council authorized written approval from either the finance committee or the chief financial officer of the township to make payments between meetings of all bills, claims, and invoices in the amount of $1,000 or less up to a total of $2,500, which I think included the LAA if they had any bills in between meetings. This actually isn't something that's working, and Bernie and I talked about it, and we're looking to introduce a new ordinance for any bills, claims, debt service, and other invoices reoccurring that he could automatically approve, for payment, and they would be placed on the next bill
So the
list.
thought is debt service,
No, I
even
understand.
scheduled to pay.
Would this be,
No.
wouldn't it be appropriate to create a schedule of what those payments are?
Well, one of them would be your payroll. I approve payroll in between
Yeah.
each.
No, I agree, and school, payment to the school
What you've
district. and-
seen recently, I think on the bill list, there's 2 pages on this particular bill list tonight, which include manual checks that we had to issue during the course of the last month. And those manual checks that you will see, but 2 of them are the 2 payrolls each month. And 2 months a year, there's 3 payrolls, because we pay every other week. Debt service would be one of them. If we use wire, we do wire money, like when we pay our debt service, I have to wire it to DTC. That's, specific. They don't take checks anymore. And there's certain businesses now that we deal with the gasoline, they want wires also. And like if you're a day late, they really jump on me and give us a hard time, and they want to cut us off, and the police need the gasoline to get around, so we get the money out to them. So, but at least they give you something in the back, the manual checks. And what I could do, when we get a little calmer, maybe come in with an overall financial how do my office relate to everything that you see and what you would look at, you know, that type of thing, what you need to look at to keep the CFO basically reviewed and under control type of thing. You know, one of the things the other day was working with the engineer. We have some old items on the escrows that we're trying to clean up, and I'm going to get it cleaned up, and he's been waiting probably on some of it almost a year, and I apologize, but you know, going over with Paul, he can see what I'm going through, but if I can clean it up between now and the end of the month, I would like to get him his money. I mean, he came in and, you know, he's done the work, and if I have the money there in the escrows that I can pay him, we should pay him. We sort of straightened some of that out. But I'd like to be able to do those kinds of things, but I can't do it without reporting back to you. There's a measure of trust. The county allowed us to do certain things like that, to make expenditures in between and then report back later. There are manual checks. Every municipality has manual checks. I can't stop a trip if they're doing a trip on recreation. And I gotta cut a check, they need a check to get on, and when they go to visit a place and I have to pay the fees to get in, I have to provide that to them ahead of time. So, I'm not talking about massive amount of money. You know, payroll, again, we've done this.
No, I'm just wondering if it would be, you know, this is the province of the council to approve the bills, and then we're kind of pushing that to you. And by doing this ordinance, at least in certain cases.
I understand.
Yeah, so I don't
You
know
want
what
to
the
hold
legal
back.
ramifications
If
of
you
that.
do, you do. I can understand to a certain degree, but there are certain expenditures I will have to.
If we had a list of the type of expenditures.
Okay.
If the ordinance contained a list, I'd be a lot more comfortable with it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, if you defined it, it's a little wide open the way I mean, if the finance committee should pay this, you could pay anything, right?
Yeah, probably. Yes.
Regular and routine bills, but
Maybe
yes, it is.
Get a list together. You know, I can imagine you want the payment to the county, the payment to the school system, those
Utilities
things.
and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And let's, summertime recreation items that come up relating to recreation trips,
Yeah.
okay, something that.
But with a
I don't
cap
know,
on
put
stuff
something
like
up
that.
right, do you want something right this second? I mean,
Let me ask you this, I mean, it's a first reading, right? You could do the first reading, and then if you didn't like the final bill, you could kill it, or
You could amend it and do first reading
or
again if it makes a
we got this cleaned up, we
significant
could do the second reading next month.
change. Yep.
Right.
I just want to say, I don't want to cost you a lot of advertising costs.
Yeah.
It'll cost a lot of advertising.
That would be my suggestion, to do the first reading, and then Bernie, you've heard what your concern is.
All right, so I think that's what we should do. By the by next month, you will have a complete listing of the types of checks that
Correct.
you would be authorized to do. Okay, and we would vote on that. All right,
Just
so,
for the record, your auditor received a copy of this, and from an auditing standpoint, he did not object to the ordinance.
all right. Okay, so we're going to, we're in public session now, right? Do we-
Yeah.
Yes, all right, so we have to ask, anyway, are there any
No, no,
questions?
you're not,
What?
no, you're,
Just,
First reading, okay. All right, so we make a motion to close the first reading?
I will make a motion to have the first reading of this ordinance.
introduction of the ordinance.
Introduction of the ordinance. Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Beth, roll call, please.
Who was my second, please?
Mr. Wright.
Thank you. Councilman Belcaro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Fryer?
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. All right, approve purchase of security cameras at a cost of $1,270 and new monitor for pool building at $960 from Fox Brothers Alarms. Is this stuff that's there is nothing?
Well, the monitor is extremely old, and it doesn't, and I don't know how to say this because I'm not technical, but, you know, the pictures come up very slow. It works really slow. You know, it doesn't work like a modern, like a newer piece of equipment. So we're recommending to replace that. And then we have one camera that we would like to add to the pool building also.
Does this have a recording device in it?
Yes, it does.
All right, so that's what you're talking about, it's real
Yeah.
slow, the recording device, okay.
How many cameras at the pool now?
Let's see, probably two or three.
And there's another one needed?
Yes. The new monitor will allow the recording to go from, slow to, and I'm going to say 360 by 240 lines of resolution, whatever that means, so, anyway, that's the recommendation I have from Fosco.
Okay, I'll take a motion from anyone to approve this purchase, if they're so inclined to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, do we have any further discussion? All right, Beth, roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, the next one is, item 6, ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 132. These are of the ordinances, I suspect.
Well, I requested that this be put on here, and I'm not quite ready to introduce an ordinance yet, but I did receive some phone calls. I guess the weather was such this year that some people had some cold apartments. And there's a state law that says that the weather falls below a certain temperature, and landlord will provide heat between this date and that date. I forget the exact dates. You can extend that locally. I thought we had, and we did not. A couple of years ago, we had a first reading, never adopted it. So, I would really like to pull out the file, see what we proposed, see if we can figure out why we didn't do it. And I'd like to have some discussion with the tenants and maybe even the landlord, and come back with a proposal next month.
All right, so,
Just for the record, the state law is between October 1st and May 1st. The temperature has to be at least 68 degrees between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m., and at least 65 degrees between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. Your prior ordinance that you did not adopt looked to extend the window for when that temperature requirement was in place by a month. I believe it was a month on either side, so from September 1st to June 1st.
all right, but at this point in time, since Joe needs more time to get
Well,
this...
I'd like to be more informed.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so...
We got time. It's, if you're gonna look at this is,
All right,
we got a
so
window.
we'll put this on hold until the next meeting.
We'll do it right.
Moving into the consent agenda. Resolution to renew a liquor license for Strikers Golf Club and the Brass Rail. It is time for those liquor licenses to be renewed, I suspect, and we have no problems with either of these applicants. Okay, I'll take a motion.
What are you gonna do?
Consent agenda.
Oh, you want to do the whole thing?
Yeah.
Let me see them all, I think that was okay. All right, yeah, let's do the whole consent agenda.
1 through 8.
1 through 8, we won't read each one, you all have copies. It's all routine matters. So, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 8? I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. Okay, roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
And
Yes. Next thing is council reports. Mr. Wright, would you like to start?
It's over here. What you need?
What?
The only thing I had was we had the pool 50th anniversary get-together, the 27th. Everything went really nice. Had a lot of people show up. It was a nice turnout. Oh, here's Lori now. Lori, would you like to say anything about the pool? We're just getting to that point. Sorry to catch you as you walk in.
About the 50th
Yeah.
anniversary.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody who came to the anniversary celebration. We had a lot of people, some in their 90s, they're in their 90s, who were the original committee members, came. We had a reenactment of the ribbon cutting with people who represented their parents there, Mr. Mangucci, Mr. Klein, Mr. Rinaldi. a lot of the people who were there, they spoke on behalf of their families or they spoke for themselves. At first, people were a little shy, and then everybody started talking. We had a lot of memorabilia out, and which everybody really enjoyed. It was a low-key event for them, but they really enjoyed it. We had some good sponsors. ShopRite donated all the food for the event, and we raised about $700 just from the brochure. So we would like to. I had a budget of about $2,500, so I didn't quite use that. I think I used almost about what I raised in a fundraiser. We did want to try to buy something for the pool for the snack bar this year. Not sure if we could do that, but we wanted to buy a microwave for like nacho cheese and stuff. So if that's okay, then I guess like if Beth ordered it, it could come out of that line item. I'm not sure, but all in all, it was a great event. I think the best part was that everybody got to see each other after decades of not seeing each other, and I think it's a testament to the people who were there because they represent what this community is, and should be. Just people helping people, coming together. They raised all the money for that pool themselves. They worked on it themselves. People were there laying down the tile, building the buildings, selling bonds. It was truly a community, and it was great to see all of them together again. Second?
All right, thank you.
Then you got to get those bills on the list, right? You can mention them now.
Okay, Beth, I do have 4 bills that didn't make it on the list. You want me to give that now or when the bills come up?
Yeah, you should read it on the record.
Now? Okay. All right, yeah, we had a few bills submitted for music in the park, but I guess they didn't make it to the official bill list. So we have 4. Matt Piazzi, $500. John Nemeth, $500. Bruce Jepson, $400, and Jesse Rivera, $350, for a total of $1,750.
Well, just going forward, Bernie did put a limit, so that the processing of bills can take place, and more efficiently. So, what was your deadline date?
That, I don't have it with me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll email all of you so that you know, so that going forward, if it doesn't make the official list, it won't be paid.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not trying to,
Unless we do the in-between thing.
Right.
I'm part-time CFO. We have one other individual in the office. In order to function with everything else that's going on, it costs a lot of money to process manual checks. It really does. If we could avoid it in the future, because if I do it for you, I've got to do it for the tax collector, which has got other tax title lien redemptions to be done, and I need that time to make sure everything clears the bank with them. I'm short-term here. The new CFO can do it any way they want, but anywhere I've been, you have cutoff dates. Same thing with payroll.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't adhere to that, forget it. There's chaos in there.
I understand your dilemma, Bernie. What is the cutoff?
Normally, it's about a week before our
It's not unreasonable.
Right. I've been asking for that for years.
So
You've been asking for what?
Cutoff dates, because we get the bills list sometimes at the meeting and don't have time to look at them. So. All right.
this is only for, that's fine, but I don't want to get in trouble with some of the other department heads that were recent. They'll shoot me.
Okay, thank you, Bernie. Mr. Wright, do you have an additional item?
That's it, thank you.
Okay.
Well, is the council inclined to pay them? If so, you should make a motion.
Can we make that motion when we do the payment of bills?
Oh, yeah, then I would just say, as amended, make sure you say as amended when you do the bill list. As amended to include those 4 items.
Okay. So next, Mr. Pryor.
I got a few things. I received some emails from a Marielle Segura. She is a reporter on a public radio show called Marketplace. She was referred to me. She's doing a piece on towns where malls are in decline and they impact the town. I haven't been able to talk to her by phone yet. She's involved, Mayor Kern as well. And I tried to talk to Mr. Kern last night. I did not get a chance. So I don't know the specifics, but I don't really see the harm in talking to her. She'll put a piece together. I don't know, I'd like to talk to Jim Kern as well, but it's out there, unless there's a reason we just don't want to do it.
Any legal reason, Katrina?
We do have a tax appeal pending, so I would just caution you not to say anything that would interfere with the tax appeal. However, Mayor Kern is going to talk to them. Lopatcong should probably be there too, since 30% of the mall is...
I told her we really only have Sears. It's not like we got the rest of it, but, she's looking at involve both towns, and he's already proceeding. So I'll be careful. I'll talk.
Yeah, I just wouldn't talk about value of the mall, that's all.
No problem. A previous meeting, we talked about our traffic on Route 22 and the impact of the Ingersoll development. You agreed I should reach out to Senator Dougherty and see if he could give us some help. He did write a letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The last paragraph says, I request, this is to DOT, he says, I request that serious consideration be given to the township's concerns, including its petition that a thorough analysis be conducted of all signalized intersections on State Highway 22 between Route 78 and Bate Street in Phillipsburg. So I know his staff reached out and they talked to DOT before they wrote that, so they were well-versed on the situation, and he did write that letter for us, so I thanked him. The rain garden. I have a rendering here. Pass that around. It looks like something one of our guys would mow, but I say that tongue-in-cheek.
Joe, be a little more green.
It's, can you pick it out? It's the natural vegetation.
Yeah.
And Beth, you can see they've left an opening so you can get to the gate, then you have the main entrance. The idea would be to put that in and then maybe put some signs, educational thing, what it does, and small things, unobtrusive. And the next step is really some sort of agreement with Rutgers. The idea was they would do the design, the work, and so on, and maybe a little bit of help from our backhoe. So I think that's the next step, try and get an agreement. I know Dr. Abakta, he's a good fellow to establish a relationship with, and I'd recommend we proceed. The last thing I have is people asked about electronics. The county Solid Waste Financing Authority usually sponsors an annual drop-off. They have not been able to do that this year, and right now it's impossible to schedule one. There's some problems with the ultimate disposal. They can't get a contractor to provide a bond. They're afraid of people showing up with tons of the stuff and then, not being able to get rid of it. So there's no plans for the time being. They did tell me Abilities of Northwest New Jersey, AERC, and Best Buy is taking these things at a, certain level. You can't pull up a truck there, but if you got an old flat screen, you can get rid of it.
I think Abilities in Washington will take the big ones, but they charge you $25.
Yeah.
Really want to get rid of one.
And then somebody said that Salvation Army in Hackettstown, but I haven't verified that, so that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Joe. Down this end, Lou?
A couple of things. Just mentioned that the DPW is going to be on the roads, do some road repairs. I believe they started already, Brian?
Yeah, we do a lot of curb work, blacktop asphalt, a lot of curb work. We're going to be in the basins, so please watch if you see us trucks and stuff, or if somebody got a little ground. All right, so please be careful. Yes.
We'll be doing that the rest of the summer?
Most of the summer.
Right. Catch up.
Yes.
Thank you. A couple of things on USDA. As we all know, we have $850,000 in grant money, and there's two projects right now that obviously needs attention, and it's going out to bid. One of them being to replace the current Stonehenge force main. It's not working well, so I'm looking to get some bids on that. The second thing to do, the improvements, upgrade improvements at the Stonehenge pump station. That's been giving us a problem for a set of years now, so. The thing is, these two projects might take up the whole grant. We don't know yet. We don't know what the bids are going to come back. However, if there's any money left over, then we'll be able to do some other things as well. Addressing the odor problem on Baltimore Street, right now it's being monitored by Chapman, and they're using filters to mask the scent, whatever's coming out of there, the odor, and so they're still looking at a long-term solution, which that has not been resolved yet. So until that happens, they'll keep putting filters there to mask the odors. And that's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Jim.
Thank you. Board of Ed, next week's Board of Ed meeting, I believe is the 13th. At the meeting, the Teachers of the Year will be honored, and they'll be presenting the high school scholarships. The 8th grade promotion is going to be next Thursday at 6 o'clock in the middle school. And for EDAC, planning to schedule a meeting later this month. As I've said in previous meetings, we are looking for members. One of the members whose term expired last year, Kathy DeVos, she is willing to continue, and I'm requesting that she be reappointed.
Mayor, that's your appointment with the advice and consent of council.
Right. Okay, I make that appointment with your advice and consent. So I guess I have to ask for a vote? Or you want to do a
Vote is good.
vote?
All in
Let's do a
favor,
vote
or-
on that.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, well, I guess we have to go through that. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now I'll take a
Yeah.
roll call.
Councilman Beccaro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Michael?
Yes. That's it. Okay, thank you, Jim. All right, what do we got here now? Paul, do you have a report for us this week?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, 2 items that we've been reviewing in public tonight. The first item is, as the council's aware, we obtained a $380,000 grant from the state of New Jersey to construct sidewalks and other safety improvements relevant to pedestrians on Belvedere Road as well as Stryker Road. I had advised the council that we need to have a kickoff meeting with the Department of Transportation last month, and you had given me permission to set up that meeting, and I did set up that meeting for June 1st. Unfortunately, the Department of Transportation canceled that meeting last week. They were having some renovations taking place in their office in Mount Arlington that day, so that meeting needs to be rescheduled. So I will be rescheduling that sometime toward the middle to latter part of the month of June. And that's,
I promised to go with you, and I wound up in Colorado on that date, so just as well.
yeah, so I will be setting up that meeting again, and Bill Piltz and Councilman Pryor will be with me. So then middle to latter part of the month, so we can kick off this work effort on that project. The other matter that I wanted to speak to the council about, on May 25th, we received an open bids for the South 2nd Street Improvement Project, and this is a project that has Department of Transportation monies as well. Unfortunately, we only received one bid that day, and that bid was very, very high, so it's my recommendation tonight that the council reject that bid that we received that night. And what I'd like to do, it was very, very high, I would actually like to modify the plans somewhat to remove some improvements from the plan, to reduce some costs, and I'd like to go back out to bid again and try to attract more bidders for this particular project. It's a good project, and
How high was it, Paul?
I would say that the costs were 25 to 30% higher. The bidder that did submit is a bidder that generally bids high. I've never seen him get awarded a contract.
What's the project ballpark?
250.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, I guess we need a motion.
So I guess there's two things. Number one, I'd like you to formally reject the bids, and I'd like to get your authorization to make some moderate changes to the plans and specifications and re-advertise the project for public bids.
Okay, so those two items,
I would do them separately.
do them separately? Okay. All right. I'll take a motion to reject the bid that came in on the South Second Street Improvement
On
Project.
Paul's recommendation.
Based on Paul's recommendation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Second piece is to authorize Paul to modify the plans a little bit and put it out for bid again. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. You said, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anything else?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, good. Let's see. Now we come to payment of bills.
First department report, please.
Oh. Motion to, I'll take a motion to approve the department reports, which is, oh, no, we need the police.
No, he's not here tonight.
Oh, okay. Take a motion to approve the department reports.
Make the motion.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now we move to payment of bills. We have a bill list. Make sure I got the right one here. I think this is the right one. Now, we have a bill list that
As amended.
totals from the current fund, $1,234,306.26. They're not added. That was the whole thing. $1,320,330.
And you're amending that to include...
And adding to that is the, how much was it?
$1,750.
$1,760. $50. Those being the 4 checks for the music in the park brought to the council tonight by Mr. Wright. Okay, so I will take a motion to approve the bill list.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills as amended.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. Okay, roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Michelle?
Yes. All right, audience participation. I'll take a motion to open the floor for audience participation.
Motion.
I'll take a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we're open for audience participation. Oh, we got a few. Sorry, you. Yeah, you're the one.
George Scherer, 32 Kyle Drive. I have 2 concerns. First is that for the length of time it's been down, and it was a big job redoing the whole length, the Lopatcong length anyway, of lower strikers from Route 57 down toward the Greenwich County line, Township line. Doesn't seem to be holding up very well. A lot of cracks, things are starting to open up on it. From the day it was built, the day it was put down, comparing it to what Greenwich did maybe a year later, not much more than that. Greenwich section, totally smooth, seems to be holding up very well. The Lopatcong stretch seems to be a much rougher pavement to begin with, like there's much more gravel and less asphalt in the road. And, I'm concerned that we're just generating an awful lot of work for our Public Works Department.
I too have noticed that there's been a lot of repair made to that road. Brian, can you enlighten us on that? Do you know what's going on there?
He's right. Things are getting old.
How old is the road? It's not...
I was very involved with that project. I was involved with rebuilding that whole section of road. We had a lot of DOT money to do that. The road improvements were done about 13 years ago, so that's a lot of time.
No.
Yeah, it was done in 2004. The Greenwich work was done a lot later. Greenwich actually lost their grants, and the county had to restore the grants, and the county did that section of the roadway with their bridge, and that was done probably 5 years later.
I wouldn't have thought that road is even 5 years old now.
When I started here in 2006, that road was done, because one of my jobs was we were getting on Greenwich to do their part. Yeah, the road was already done when I started in 2006.
It's aging, and I would agree that we need to start looking at maintenance on the road, and we have to start also looking, due to the amount of traffic, including the type of traffic, you have truck traffic on that road, which has a much bigger impact than passenger vehicles. We have to start looking at a maintenance plan for that road.
Okay. The other thing is that I remember hearing at the time that Warren Heights was being built along Baltimore, starting that, there was serious limits placed on the number of multi-bedroom units, that there weren't going to be any 3 bedrooms and a certain number of 2 bedrooms and all that. And that was done, of course, to reduce tax impact, due to schools. Now I see Sycamore having a sign out on the highway advertising 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. How many of them are going to be 3 bedroom? What can we expect in the way of tax increases?
Attorney Campbell, I think, can help you with
I'm not familiar with the whole project, and maybe Paul can speak to the whole project, but at least some of those 3 bedrooms are affordable housing obligations. Under COA, we have to have what they call family units, which requires up to 3 bedrooms. So I'm not sure if there are other market rate that are 3 bedroom. I don't know, Paul, if you know that.
I'm not aware of it. There's 247 units in the development that's being built. 50 of those units are dedicated to low and moderate income families, and at least 20% of those units have to be 3-bedroom units. So that would equate to 10 units that are 3-bedroom units.
Okay. Seems that we're always going to be able to find laws to protect everybody except the taxpayer, right?
Sometimes it feels that way. Thank you, sir. This gentleman, go ahead. Welcome.
Harvey Walters, 325 South 3rd Street. Township Council, past and present. Set. Mr. Sturman, citizens of Lopatcong. I want to thank each and every one of you for all the help you have given me over the years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Once again, Joe,
Yes.
are you seriously going to consider something with the heating systems?
Pardon me?
Are you seriously going to consider something with the heating ordinance?
Yes, yeah, but when I first researched it, I really didn't know why it did not go to a second reading.
Yes.
I got to do a little more research. I didn't have all the details. I'd like to talk to some folks.
Yes.
So I'm going to put it on there.
Do you know people to talk to, or should?
Yeah.
Should I have? Okay.
We'll get there.
All right.
I want to put it on there if I want
And
to
then
look at it.
just one other I mentioned. September is usually warm later, but May has been carrying on forever lately, the last few years.
Yeah, we got time to get it done.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you.
I just want it done in an informed way.
That's right. Okay, that's good. And then another thing, Joe, I want to thank you for contacting Senator Dougherty, and I want to thank you for reading the letter tonight that he's...
Yeah, I read it in part. talks about, he understands the economics and all, but he does want the traffic.
Now, just to say something strange, I saw there was a slow-moving, kind of Jeep-type vehicle with a camera on it going down at 22 today. That was, I was just thinking, as I drove by it, I thought about this, so it's amazing, but surprising that letter was there. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, any further, sir?
Good evening, Eric Johnson, 361 Stonehenge Drive. I just wanted to follow up on a conversation that we've been having back and forth now for about the last 3.5 years. I've had brief casual discussions with Paul and actually Katrina as well. This has to go back to the Stonehenge Drive speed issue between Red Schooling and Buckley Hill. I'm not going to rehash the whole timeline. Paul, you're very familiar with it, but we've gotten different opinions out there that the traffic is going extremely too fast. What our solution was to put up the speed limit signs, which we did at the beginning and the end of each of the road in both directions. That was 6 or 7 months ago. At that point, I thanked everybody for their concerns. I said, I'll get back to you after 6 months and we'll see how it goes. Let's give it a fair shot. I'm coming back tonight to let you know that I have not seen any reduction in the speed of the traffic. In my opinion, it looks like the average car goes between 35 and 45 when we're posted for 25 out there. This is also a school zone. So what I'm asking council tonight is, what's our next step? Should we reach out to the police for enforcement? We have the latest price quote for Paul for a speed study for $1,000. It might be outdated by this point. I think the estimate is over a year old. Do we look to try to get a speed study for free? But the fact is that they're driving too fast out there, and our very low-cost solution was not effective. So I'm not sure what to do next, but I'm asking.
Any officer will tell you enforcement is the most effective. We can do it. Usually the first one they catch is the guy who lives next door to you, but...
well, they won't catch me, because I'm not speeding, but...
We'll talk to the chief.
Well, I'll tell you, the last 2 days, they've been sitting at the pump house, on the radar both directions.
At where?
The pump house there at
Stonehenge.
Okay, so I'm looking at the newer section of Stonehenge.
Yeah, he can move it around.
Yeah, I mean, they were on the road the last 2 days.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing his opinion on it, and if we need to do a study to get something that's not subjective.
They'll know. I mean, they'll out there, they'll run the radar, they'll see how many violations, and they'll keep doing it until people slow down. So.
Yeah, I think we should. So, thank you very much. We'll see you.
Thank you.
I'll talk to the chief for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
I know that land in the Piazza Tract area has been in executive council. Has anything gone forward on that? They can be public, or is it still in executive council? It's not yet. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other,
Good evening. My name's Jill McCormick, 234 Arbor Drive, and I'm a parent of 2 of the lifeguards sitting in this room. There are 13 lifeguards here tonight out of 19 lifeguards that are employed by Lopatcong Township at this time. 18 of the lifeguards come here united, only 13 could be here. I was not intending to speak tonight, but I just was taken aback, and just utterly, there's no other word other than flabbergasted at the response of the council to the request of the lifeguards. For those in the room who aren't aware, the lifeguards have been making $7.25 an hour since 2007. They requested, area township pools currently are paying their first-year lifeguards $10 an hour. So the lifeguards did all finally, after years and years of talking about this, they finally did all get together and decide that they were going to stand up for themselves and ask for a reasonable wage, which at the minimum would be the $10 an hour that everybody else is paying. I want to let you know that these are all an incredible bunch of kids. They are all excellent students. The returning guards are extremely reliable. They all text all summer to help cover each other to make sure that the hours are covered at the Lopatcong pool. As you surely know, these guards have to spend upwards of $300 every 2 years to receive a certification to be able to work at the pool. In addition, they're responsible for purchasing their own uniforms, a specific red lifeguard swimsuit, a white shirt, red shorts, sunglasses, and a certified whistle. These guards are all members of this community, and they've served this community well. And we recognize, as a community, we should recognize and reward them for their loyalty and good work. I apologize because I did come up here at the last minute, just in a last-ditch effort to see if there is anything that you could possibly say to these lifeguards to encourage them that the town would be willing to work with them. You've given them no choice about their decision to stay united and on this matter, and each and every one of these lifeguards intends to hand in a letter of resignation tonight. Again, regardless of the outcome, there are many of us in this community that are extremely proud of these kids for standing up for themselves and taking constructive action to stand up for what they believe in. Thank you.
Do you want me to speak to? Do you want to speak to them?
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Dennis Drake. I live on 6 Byron Drive, and just wanted to let you know that not only do I live in Lopatcong, but I'm also the head coach of the summer swimming team, so I know each and every one of these young men and women behind me very well. They're mature, they're responsible, and at the pool, they are our first-line responders. Somebody gets hurt, somebody has a heart attack, they're the ones who are certified in life-saving CPR, bloodborne pathogens, and first aid. They're the ones who keep people's lives alive when we're waiting for the EMT to show up, or the police to show up, or the lifeguard, or the fire engine to show up. Also, just to keep things in perspective, when I was a lifeguard in 1988, actually through the late 80s to early 90s, I made $7 an hour at a community pool. I made $10 an hour at a private pool. This is like almost 30 years ago, I got paid $7 an hour. So clearly, I believe that these young men and women behind me who deserve to get a 2017 pay rate, especially when you look at across most of New Jersey, most lifeguards make about $9 an hour, and Walters Park is offering, from my understanding, I didn't look it up personally, but my understanding is they're starting at $10 an hour. So having a vested interest in the community, in the pool, and in the swim team, I like to see, our lifeguards, get treated fairly and get what they deserve in terms of an updated pay scale. Thank you.
Thank you.
We didn't raise them. We can't. No, we can't talk about it.
Hi, my name's Peter Grenio, of Greenwich Township. I am also a parent of one of the lifeguards. I decided to come over here tonight to show some support for them. I wasn't aware that Mrs. McCormick and Mr. Drake were also going to be here to show their support, and I really appreciate that they came. I don't mean to waste a lot of time repeating what you just heard, but I wanted to offer my opinion on what goes on here. I do have a little bit of background in municipal government myself in Greenwich, and I understand how this process works. I understand you have financial concerns. I understand you just can't throw money at people because they wish to. But the reality is, these young adults are effectively still children, and they really are being taken advantage of by the township. You're hiding behind an exception from municipal government to pay them less than federal minimum wage. They have not received a raise in years. Nobody is making an attempt on this committee or in past committees to raise the rate of pay. However, you have proactively decided to try to spend a couple $1,000s on security equipment for the pool, which really doesn't do anything but catch an act of vandalism or theft after it's already happened. It would have been nice to see somebody proactively want to do something for them. What Mr. Drake said is correct. With no disrespect to the police and the EMTs in the town, they are the true first responders. A child falls in that pool, they may be dead before anybody else responds. They have incurred costs out of their own pocket, even to the point of buying their own uniforms and coming with their own flashlights. They are extremely responsible. You're talking about a number of children here who are in the top 10 of their class in the high school, which is a class of 400 people, so that is a significant accomplishment. You have the president of the forensics team, the president of the National Honor Society, among another number of titles that they hold. These are not kids who are seeking a job in retail or landscaping. They're here to do a very important job, and they take it very seriously. And I have found that they were extremely insulted as to how they have been treated so far in trying to receive an increase. I do not mean any disrespect, and it is not the fault of the township clerk. She should not turn down her paycheck when it is offered to her, but it is absolutely ludicrous that this township pays your township clerk a salary that is more than the combined salary of township clerks of 2 neighboring towns at the same time. And you're going to sit here and say we can't afford several $1,000s more a year to pay them for this season.
Well, that's uncalled for, and you really don't know what you're talking about.
Ms. Diltz, this is public comment. I would appreciate you keep your mouth shut. Thank you.
Okay, you're going to be respectful when you're here, or we're going to remove you. That is...
This is public
She will
comment.
be quiet and wait for you to be done.
This is
but
public
don't tell
comment.
someone to shut their mouth. That is not allowed in public. We have a decorum ordinance here.
We do have a decorum ordinance, and I would expect the level of respect that a member of the public should receive during public comment and not be interrupted by somebody. I said it initially. I do not mean any disrespect, and I do not... Excuse me, and I said I do not believe she should turn down her check. What I am saying is this township government has no basis in saying we have to be careful what we pay our municipal employees. Again, they are your municipal employees, but I find it, again, highly insulting that you gave the responsibility of researching what the prevailing rate is to somebody who is not paid at the prevailing rate, and then she tells them to their face, we really have to be careful and make sure we're paying you prevailing rate. So again, I'm trying to be respectful. Mrs. McCormick was generally sad. I am sad for them too. But I am also very angry because I understand how this process works, and I feel that you are really trying to take advantage of them. So, I'm sorry I had to come up here and mention that, but you all need to understand it. You all have not been on this committee for decades. Many of you are new, and maybe were unfamiliar with the issue, and I'm just trying to make sure you have as much information as you have. I stand behind what their decision is, and I greatly respect what it is that they have chosen to do on their own. I wish you guys good luck in operating your pool this year.
Becky, how are you? Olszewski, Highlands Way. I would just like to let those kids know, if I understand it properly, today was the first reading of it. Just going to be a second reading next meeting, is that correct?
Next to the ordinance?
Yes, for raising the rates, so there will be public comment, you guys are able to, and I wish you would have let those kids know and not just sit there and be silent. There will be public comment on it, and there's no decision made here today of any kind. So the decision, which may be rendered next week, it may be totally different, even though I think everybody's right. But that is not, today is not the end of wherever you want to be, all right? There's got to be the next meeting, and you guys should show up.
Megan McCormick, 234 Arbor Drive. Just a note on that, the ordinance that they're talking about is for next year. We're, however, talking about our pay for this year. So, to Lopatcong Township, based on the insulting offer of $7.75 per hour after the lifeguards approached the township requesting to be properly compensated, I submit my letter of my resignation as a lifeguard effective immediately. I'm incredibly discouraged by the lack of concern on this matter, especially after it was explained how the lifeguards are first responders to emergencies at the pool long before a police officer can arrive, as well as the costs incurred by lifeguards to obtain training and certification. I do not want to work for an employer who pays significantly below state minimum wage. When comparing our current wages to other established local rates, our wages are significantly lower for the exact same job. Thank you, Megan McCormick.
My name is Jack Eagleberger of 202 Alden Road, Stewartsville.
Can you say your name again?
Jack Eagleberger. Based on the insulting offer of $7.75 an hour for after lifeguards approached the township requesting to be properly compensated, I submit my resignation as a lifeguard effective immediately. I am incredibly discouraged by the lack of concern on this matter, especially after it was explained how the lifeguards are first responders to emergencies at the pool long before a police officer can arrive, as well as the cost incurred by lifeguards to obtain training and certification. I do not want to work for an employer who pays significantly below state minimum wage. When comparing our wages to other established local rates, our wages are significantly lower for the exact same job. Thank you.
I want to let you guys know there's a second reading, and if you're intending on resigning, I would suggest you wait until after the second reading, which is proposed for the next meeting. That's the next meeting. So that's up to you what you do tonight, but I would suggest you wait.
Well, we can't wait a month. I mean, we gotta do something, so.
Yeah, all right.
If you want to resign, then resign.
All right, well, I have two things. The first thing is that we talked about doing RFPs to raise some money so we can help pay for Community Day. We were interested, the Recreation Committee was interested in doing one to help pay for the rides, and one to possibly, if anybody be willing to sponsor it, pay for fireworks, since of course we don't have any money in the budget for that. So I don't know what the process is for that, or how you can get that going, but if we could have something out there so people could get stuff in during the summer, because Community Day is the end of August.
Council would like, I can work with Beth to craft an RFP or a competitive contracting type bid to seek sponsors for those events. I just need kind of a list of what they are.
Okay.
If that's what council wants me to do.
This is,
So this
to
is
raise
if
money for
somebody-
what purpose?
if
This
somebody
is
wanted
the
to
ordinary things
pay
that
for
you're...
the
Yeah,
fireworks.
just so they could sponsor it.
A Community Day. If someone wanted to pay for the fireworks in exchange for a sign with their name on it that said fireworks
Right.
paid for by, they could do that. But the problem is you have to go out to bid, because my firm may pay one price, let's say I was the bidder, and Paul's firm may say, sign that says we paid for fireworks, that's worth more, and maybe they'd pay more. So you can't just hire someone. So this is kind of like what we went through with St. Luke's
Yeah.
when we were talking about they wanted to be the official
Right.
organization. So it's kind of like that. You would be seeking bids. Would you like to sponsor, Carnival rides, or would you like to sponsor this? And people would have to bid on. I have to think it through completely, but I think that's the idea that she's looking for. The idea is you have to go out to see who's the best person for it.
Right. So you're not picking favorites, correct? Yeah.
Correct. And in addition to that, you have to understand that whoever meets your bid, whether you want them to, they're going to get to put their sign up and say they sponsor it. Now, we can tailor it to say, you can't say anything. You can just say paid for by whatever. But if, the town of Phillipsburg wanted bless their hearts, if they wanted to sponsor your fireworks, you have to let them. If an organization that you find to be offensive, you have to let them. You know, as long as they meet the tailored aspect of the bid, you have to let them, even if it was an organization, you know, that they sued the town, and you don't feel it's proper for Community Day. You know, I don't think you're going to get that, but it's just my job to tell you that that is a possibility. But I think if they know that all they're putting out is a sign that says paid for by, you know, or they're in a program, I mean, people do that for other organizations, but because you're a municipal government, you're governed by different rules than regular businesses, and so you're required to go out and competitively contract it. I think is the best way to describe it. Because you're going to set a narrowly tailor what you're looking for, and that way you're allowed to pick. You are allowed to pick and choose as to who best meets the qualifications.
That's not only the only criteria. That we
Correct.
use. Use other criteria.
Where a bid, it's whoever pays the most, but if it says, I'm going to supply the sign, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and it's going to say that, whoever meets, and you have to have a list of qualifications as to what you're looking for, and then you get to kind of evaluate the proposals.
And you can go out 5 years with that kind of contract.
Oh, you can? Oh, okay. Now, moving on to other matters. As you know, I'm the chairperson of the Recreation Committee, and I usually spend my whole summer at the pool, so I do know these kids, and they are great kids, and I know the kids that were there before them, and the kids that were there before them. I know, having sat on council for 3 years, the money was very tight, particularly in 2013, when we had to raise the taxes and we had to cut the budget by $1 million. Things are getting a little better. I think you had, finally, were able to give an increase to the employees here. I don't know what happened, because I know the budget's done. Was anybody contacted about the pool salary issue?
We're not going to really answer that, only because all of those individuals are employees, so we're not going to stop them.
The only thing I can say, a couple points, is, as we know, certain salaries in this township are protected by statute, the New Jersey statute that's on our website, because we have had to research that multiple times to tell people. No disrespect to Mr. Venue, but that is not correct. You can't lower certain people's salaries.
Never asked for...
No interruptions, please.
I was interrupted.
Before you told her to shut up, I was going to ask her to be quiet, too.
You didn't go fast enough.
All right.
The other thing is, I understand that maybe some other area pools are paying more. I also understand that some of those area pools are getting huge amounts of donations from area. Now, maybe, I don't know. Could we do an RFP to do that, too? I mean, if they're going to sit here and throw money at another pool in our area, giving them money for a splash pad, too, let's not kid ourselves. That's how they're getting everything. And we're doing tax dollars in the revenue of the pool. Can we try to do that? See if we can do an RFP to get money there?
Barney, what was the approximate additional cost where the level raised to $10? Did you do some kind of projection on that?
No, I haven't.
How many hours, Beth? Do you know about how many hours?
I don't have any breakdown. I mean, we just found out about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's unfortunate.
The idea for next year is that you can budget that amount.
Right.
We can.
This year it's tough.
Budget is done.
Yeah, we've all been there. The budget is tough. I'm just saying, we're at a disadvantage because we have a pool in our area that is being heavily subsidized. So I don't know if we just try to do the same going forward. I mean, yeah. If they're going to give them money, maybe somebody will give us money. Because it is a lot.
To the council wishes, I'd be happy to add pool sponsorships to this competitive contracting research.
Please do.
Sure.
And then as far as, I ordered the movies for the pool, so they'll be posted soon. Unfortunately, the price has gone up, so I thought we were going to save some money by only ordering 6, and it turns out I actually spent more for 6 than I spent for 7 because the prices went up. But we have Star Wars, Harry Potter, the new one, and a couple of good Disney movies. Which, and I guess if you don't have any lifeguards, you guys are going to have to work the movies. Thank you.
Katrina, can you maybe explain to them why we can't talk to them?
Sure.
Because we look like
You do.
we don't care here right now, but there's reasons why.
I have recommended to council that they not discuss the pool lifeguard issue, as all pool lifeguards are employees of the town. As employees of the town, they're protected by a case called Rice, which requires Rice notices for employees if you're going to discuss them, and you need to discuss them in private. So this council is not permitted to publicly discuss any employee. Don't shake your head.
Can we have the rights?
They can waive their rights, but we're obligated to give them a notice. Without getting into it, if an employee wants to be discussed, they should come to council, or they should meet with the town administrator, whose job it is, and then a Rice notice could be issued, and then a discussion could be had in a private conversation. Also, I would direct any employee of the town, if they have questions, comments, concerns about their employment, Beth Dilts is the township administrator, and she is authorized to discuss with all employees any employment issues and any concerns that they have. So that is why council is not answering questions, because I have advised them that they are not permitted to. And if the group of people who are here tonight wish to be heard in executive session next month, by all means, the council can issue them all Rice notices, and we can have that discussion in private or public, however they choose.
Elon, I just want to add one comment. I'm not trying to get into an argument, but I heard what Ms. Campbell said. I believe they're aware of it. My son was Rice noticed. Nobody else was. They're not...
Came to Ms. Dilts.
Believe me, I understand the whole history, okay? They're not looking for action here in the public portion of the meeting. I understand there was an executive session earlier today. There was a previous conversation with Ms. Dilts, and there was an attempt to also express their concerns to Mayor McKay outside of a meeting. However these comments came up, nobody was looking to conduct a little situation here in a public meeting. They did try to do this respectfully and the proper way. In my opinion, they probably waited a little too long. They probably should have dealt with this back in February or March, or even last year. But again, there's guilt both ways, as I've explained. So the point is, they have made their attempts. They do understand what's going on very fully, and they're making their own decision on what it is that they want to do. They do not expect that you are really going to want to quickly do something. If you would like to, that would be great. And I understand you can't make that announcement here in public session. Okay?
I would make the recommendation that, there was some discussion today in executive session with one employee, and I think council explained its position, why it's doing what it's doing, why it didn't do what was asked to be done, and all of those things that I can't get into because it involves everyone.
And I agree, and I'm not trying to get that to come out here. I understand that.
What I recommend is that any employee make an appointment, whether they do it as a group, as they want to come individually, whatever they feel comfortable with. Ms. Dilts is the administrator, and so she has that authority from the council, and she, I believe, would be happy to go over all of the things that were discussed, why the CFO could probably help with budgetary explanations, because there were some questions about could we spend from here, from there.
I fully understand. I understand the funding source. I understand that, and they do understand it.
Okay.
It's not a situation of the adults get to gang up on the children, because the children don't know. They are fairly well aware of what's going on. So I just wanted to clear that up. Nobody's trying to turn a public meeting into a public negotiating session or whatever, but they are definitely trying to let you know how serious they take this, and they are extremely insulted with what happened last week. Extremely insulted. I know we just had an exchange about my comment around it, but that added to it significantly, and I want to make that clear. One other thing as I go to sit down that I want to point out to all the council members who might not be aware of this, the township also has a policy with these lifeguards to schedule them for a shift and often send them home early for a variety of reasons, usually weather-related. Sometimes their entire shift gets canceled due to weather. They do not get paid a cent for getting scheduled for those days. Today it happened. It's happened several times already this pool season, which is only a couple of weeks old. That's another thing that really should be addressed too. But I don't think it's really been brought up. So
Sir, can I
I
ask
wanted
a question?
everybody to be aware of that.
When was the first time someone was notified?
They reached out to Mayor McKay initially via email, and they had difficulty in scheduling a meeting, so that meeting never happened. Ms. Dilts was made aware of their concerns, and there was a meeting, I believe, last Thursday night here at the Township
The
Building.
first time, though, I'm trying to get this, because I think it's a little late, don't worry about it. Because I agree with him 100%, but I can't talk about it.
I understand. I fully agree with you. For the 2017 full year, they're too late.
But when did this whole thing start?
I'd say about 2.5 weeks ago. 2.5 weeks ago. But again, like I'm pointing out, and Mr. Drake pointed out, their rate of pay has been the same year after year after year, and nobody's paying attention to it. I know Mayor McKay's been here a few years. I'm not exactly sure how long the rest of you have been here, so I'm not totally blaming you. It's been a rolling snowball that's never been getting dealt with.
But I think, just to speak a little more on what you just said, I think from what we've heard, and like I said, it didn't come to council necessarily until Ms. Dilts brought it to us.
I agree.
It's the first opportunity, but I think from what we've heard, from what council's heard, there's been some misinformation provided to some of the employees about how things can be paid, what can be paid, things like that. And so that's what we'd like to educate the employees about, and that's what I think Ms. Dilts can relay.
I understand.
Or a member of council, but the whole member, but let me finish.
Sure. Go ahead.
So I think what council was, trying to relay, and what I'm trying to relay now, is that, without getting too far into this personnel matter, I don't think anyone wants the lifeguards of Lopatcong to resign. I think if they speak with Ms. Dilts or a member of council, they could be educated on why it's too late, where we are, what we're trying to do for next year, what we can do for this year, which may be too little for them, but we understand that. If these individuals wish to continue, and I know some of them have already resigned, if they all continue and wish to do that, I think council's position is they recommend they reconsider that, and they will give them till Friday if they change their minds and they want to come back. Maybe they want to come meet with Ms. Dilts, maybe they want to meet with a member of council, if that's the case, because I think they came here with a demand tonight. Quite honestly, a week ago, we found out about it.
And like I said, a week ago it was found out about, but a week ago I don't want to call it an official offer, but a proposal was made to go to $7.75 an hour.
That's very efficient for municipal government. You say you know a lot about municipal government.
I understand.
It works very slowly.
But I think you have to understand.
Sure.
And listen, I don't know you.
You're the CFO, I understand, or acting CFO.
That did come to me and said, what can we do this year? It's not her fault.
I'm not blaming her. I'm going to go back to the comment I made. A lot of people in this area are aware that this municipal government, for however it got to that position, is capable of paying exorbitant rates of pay to certain employees.
Please don't bring that up.
But I'm just saying that.
Trying to find money to pay them.
I understand.
You can't do it this year.
I understand.
I never did a salary survey on recreation. Believe it or not, my daughter runs the aquatic center in another town. I told her what our rates are. She got mad at me, okay?
I'm just trying to help explain their position.
I'm going to go in the future to try to help you, but I can't get to there until next year. It's nobody's fault up here.
But I think what you're missing, is you can't compare rates with a statutory employee. Mr. Olszewski, please stop. You cannot compare any employee's rates with any other employee. We have civil service jobs, we have statutorily
I know, but you
you
also have to understand that very often perception is reality, and that is part of it. I just want to clear up one final thing, because I understand you are all in a position where you cannot make a comment on something, and I understand the point you're trying to make. I know that they are aware of the concept of an emergency reserve fund. So the point there is...
Absolutely, the town cannot pay them.
No, I'm trying to explain a concept to you. They are well aware that the concept exists in this world where an employee gets sick and that employee can't come to work, and they continue to get paid their salary. However, the employer needs to bring in another employee to do that job, and there are ways to cover that funding.
So let me get this straight.
I'm just trying to say, they are aware that unexpected events occur all the time, and people can
Deciding
have
for more money
ways.
is not an unexpected event.
Well, when-
An employee getting sick is an unexpected event.
So here's my point.
Everyone knew what they're being paid when they signed up this year.
If all the lifeguards resign and you do not have enough of a staff to operate a pool,
That will be the township's problem, and I think they have a contingency
And-
plan in place.
but I'm sure that contingency plan would probably involve more money.
And that will be what the township will have to deal with.
And you're
But
helping me.
Staff is
I know,
a
but
threat.
you
That's
are
exactly
helping
what
to
it is.
explain my point, which they understand. When times get tough, people can find creative solutions, and that's what it
You're
really
creating a
is.
sickness, an unexplained sickness to...
Ms.
one
Campbell,
person.
I understand I am
You are claiming that you know
Ms.
a lot about
Campbell,
municipal government,
Ms.
and you're
Ms.
getting a lot of
Campbell,
things wrong.
I realize I am verbally jockeying with an attorney who can probably kick my rear end in this area fairly well.
I'm just concerned that you are educating these children and you're giving them the
No,
wrong
they're
information.
seeing firsthand evasiveness. That's what they're saying.
Absolutely
They've seen
not.
disrespect,
I take great
and
exception to that.
they've seen that they've been insulted. They are the ones telling you
And it
that
sounds
they've been
like
insulted.
you're the one who is telling them they're insulted, you're the one telling them what the law is, and you're giving them a lot of misinformation.
Out of everybody here, I know two of them, my son and my son's friend. I don't know any of them. I don't know any of their names except for one other person here. I am not doing anything. These are very well-educated, high-performing
not saying that
children
at all.
who are capable of doing what they're doing by themselves.
One is given misinformation, it's easy to pass
I'm
on
gonna,
to
I'm gonna
everyone.
stop, because I don't really need to continue going through this. They're getting to see what they're getting to say, so I'll let them continue.
There's another gentleman before you. Sir?
He had his hand up.
My name's Eli Mallory. I live at 214 Arbor Drive in Storchville. I just wanted to point out, Ms. Campbell, that what you said earlier about, like, us coming to council members to be educated on it. Ryan wasn't the only employee who asked to come into the executive session today. I also asked, and Ms. Diltz said that she would only allow one of us to come in. So saying that only one of us really, approached you to come talk about that, that's completely false. So I just wanted to let you know that you
No,
missed
what I meant was, and I may have misstated it or said it unclear, the law requires a certain amount of notice to give someone a rights notice, so...
Right, well, I requested last Thursday, the same time Ryan did, so if it was enough time for him, it should have been enough time for more of us who also wanted to participate.
At
So
any time, you can come and speak with...
And I would like to correct that also.
Sure.
I think the whole group wanted to come in, and we asked for a representative, and it was going to be between you and Ryan who
Right.
made the decision.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, so we never really, communicated who was going to be coming in, so I guess she assumed it was Ryan, but we both did actually want to come in, and I guess the way you put it, be educated. And I also was very insulted by when you said Mr. Grenio was, telling us what to say. I think I'm smart enough to figure out on my own that $725 isn't
I wouldn't say that you're
an
not smart.
adequate
So
amount of
if
money.
you took that, I apologize.
Okay.
Because that's not what I meant. I
Yeah,
meant
I
that
mean-
some of the misinformation that I was hearing was the same misinformation I was just hearing out of him. That is all I meant, and it sounds like from what everyone's saying that this is a fine group of kids that are very well educated, and obviously you had the courage to come here, which when I was your age, I would never have had the courage to come here and first of all, sit through a whole public meeting, but then to get up and speak. So I apologize if that's what it came across that I said. By all means, that's not what I meant.
Okay, yeah, and I also just wanted to add, you're a group of adults, and, you put one kid against all of you to negotiate on behalf of all the lifeguards, that just, I can't believe that actually happened. You put one 17-year-old against a group of adults, and Ms. Diltz wouldn't even allow a second representative to come in.
and I would like to speak on that further.
Sure.
I went out of my way when I heard the rumor that there was, you were all upset about
Right.
your salaries. I went out of the way to contact the manager to put in place a meeting so I could get your thoughts and bring to you. I ran to the CFO. I tried to, figure out what else we could do. And I made a very good faith effort to come in and have you all here and talk to you. So I could take it, what we all had talked about, to the council. That's what I did. I presented it to the council.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I just wanted to say that I didn't appreciate that only one person was given the opportunity.
Salaries and whatnot. I can only gather information, and I did it on your behalf. I mean, I sat down, you wanted these rates, I put them in there. That's what you wanted.
Beth, I wouldn't talk too much anymore about it.
Okay.
But I think just to take away from this is that every employee of the town, so I'm speaking generally, but all of the people who are here, have the right to come in and meet with the administrator, whether individually, if you want to come in together. You also all have the right to ask to come before council in a private session, or if you want to be heard publicly, you can waive your right to a private session, but you have to make that request, and then there's legal paperwork.
Yeah, and I did make that request, as I pointed out. Okay, thank you.
Right, but I think that was all based on some rumors and some things, so we tried to accommodate as quickly as we could the request, but what I'm saying is, all of you have the right to do that. So if next meeting you all want to come in and you all want to meet together, you want to come in separately, that is absolutely permitted and allowed.
Sir?
Hi, Dennis Drake, 6 Byron Drive. I know it's got to be tough for Beth and for the rest of you to hear sort of like last moment. I know for municipal townships, last moment could be like 2 months, and that's, because I know you need a lot of time, especially when I was on the Board of Ed. You need, like an entire year to make a simple decision sometimes. But I'm not sure, is it a township ordinance to offer a pay increase for part-time township employee? Like, in other words, is that an ordinance that's necessary?
Yes, there's a salary ordinance for all employees.
Right, so, but I mean, is that ordinance, though, is within a range? In other words, let's say, like, what is the...
The township has, just generally, because I don't know for sure, but the township has for all employees typically a range, but then we must by resolution set the salaries. So for example, if we could give a pay increase this year, it would have to be done by ordinance. So 2 months from now, they could implement that
So
process.
then, the other thing I was thinking about, and again, this sometimes happens in schools, and I'm not sure if it still applies, but let's say you're in a position where you have employees that resign, and you have to make an emergency hiring. So, in other words, what's the plan if all the lifeguards, if they all resign, and we want to keep the pool open? What's the plan? I mean, you said without talking about any of them, because none of them have been raised.
I can tell you the township has a plan.
Okay, but you're not going to give them a hint? Because I think what they're looking for is maybe some sort of affirmation that they're going to be taken seriously.
I guarantee them they are being taken seriously.
And then the other thing is, and again, I don't know, and I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff, but if it's an emergency, like I said, from my own experience, if it's emergency hiring, then you're given a little bit more leeway, and I don't know if it's the same way with township ordinances or in terms of part-time employees.
Emergency hiring is different than an increase in salary.
Okay, all right, well, that's the thing, that's why I'm asking, because I wasn't sure myself.
That's the rub. We are, waiting too long is not an emergency. That's,
But, all right, so my perspective as a township resident, if the pool doesn't open, and I paid my $300, I mean, that's to me, what I'm saying is, it may not be an emergency legally, but it is an emergency that the township has to deal with.
And that's what we have to operate in, is what is an emergency legally, and at this point, we don't have an emergency.
Well, can you help me? I mean, what satisfies the emergency hiring?
Did you just said someone quits, someone dies, someone gets
17
sick,
people about to quit.
and then the township's gonna have to deal with that.
And so then I'm saying, but that offers other opportunities to increase pay, right?
Perhaps, but we
See,
cannot.
that's what I'm trying to get at. If they all resign, and part of the emergency plan is because it's considered, now that you have to make 17 emergency hirings. Some of that can be a renegotiated contract, right? Or, I don't know, they don't have a contract, right? I don't know what they have, but what I'm saying is, that then, doesn't that open the door for increased salaries?
Perhaps if we have to, in a bind, hire someone else and the salary is higher.
So that's what I'm saying, is that if most of...
Rehiring employees who are already employees at a higher salary is not an emergency, and you are doing an end run around the law, and that is not acceptable.
Right, but here's the thing, if everyone up here agrees that they deserve a pay raise, then it's not called an end run around the law, it's called being creative.
No.
Right? And
No,
no, it's not,
absolutely not.
listen.
He has a
All right.
license.
So, all right, well, let me ask you this then. How much money did the pool earn last year? Because if they made a profit, which I'm not sure if they did, but if, I don't know, because I know when I looked at the numbers a few years ago, they did. So I don't know now recently, but I know that we're one of the only profitable pools in the area.
We didn't make a profit.
And
Well, then we gotta see why, though.
It's not the pool as a whole. We have budget line items, salaries are one. We can't just move things around within the pool.
Yes, that's true. But in
Again,
terms
the
of,
budget has been adopted, and that's the problem. The budget is set, and we can't even move within the budget.
well, but you can say you can't do it and run around it, but if an emergency hiring, if what requires to meet that definition are people resigning or quitting, and therefore you can't run a municipal, like if the DPW resigns tomorrow or quits or dies or something, don't mean to, not good for anyone, but, I mean, you'd have to open up right away, and so if you have 17 people who resign, then it's not really an end run, it's just called, and then I used the wrong word, not creative, it's called, here's the reality, that fits the definition, therefore the township now maybe has some leeway to increase salaries.
I disagree with you legally. That is not acceptable. That is not allowed. I wish the auditor...
But if you do it for one person,
No, we're not doing it for anyone.
okay.
Also...
But, all right, then I misunderstood, because you said that if somebody quit, but I guess your issue is if they quit and you rehire the same person.
We would not do that
Okay,
at a higher rate.
okay.
Because then every employee we have will quit, and we want to be rehired
Right.
at a higher rate.
Okay.
And like I said, it's not an emergency. If the money's not in the budget, the money's not in the budget. So it is what it is.
Well, I don't know, I think that whatever your emergency plan is, ought to be made public. You don't have a right to that as a township resident?
At this point,
We
none
do
of the-
have a limit per person, and we're recycling this conversation over and over here, so
Yeah.
I suggest we...
Well, anyway, so my last request is that as a township resident, I'd like to know what the emergency plan is, because as the head coach of the swimming team, I want to make sure there's a pool where my kids can swim in, otherwise I got to go to Walters Park or someplace else. And then that's about a third, and I can tell you that it's not just the kids that we bring in that pay that, but it's all those families that we bring in as well. So I don't know, I know that we represent a huge chunk of the number of members that join the pool. And I don't mean that as a threat.
No, I understand that.
And you've always been reasonable with me, so.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
My name is Ryan Grenyo, 207 Robin Court. So first thing I'd just like to address is a few things the public came up with. First, the concern that we were talking specifically about the ordinance that was proposed for the first reading tonight. That reading is for the 2018 season. We're talking in terms of salary for the 2017 season, which they avoided our requests by proposing it for next season. The second fact that came up, I think it was the Recreation Committee head that brought it up. She requested to know the approximate funds to raise it to $10 per hour flat rate. The 2016 budget for pool staff wages was approximated to be $75,000. Raising it to $10 per hour would be just below a 40% increase, which would result in slightly less than $30,000 needing to be paid out. And now I'd like to touch on the rice notice issue. Mrs. Campbell, you keep stating that every one of these employees up here, every one of these lifeguards, has the right to go to our township representative and request a rice approval. However, she said herself that at the township meeting, even if she was trying to scramble and get us in, we all came. She said we all wanted to get in the meeting, so she would give us one representative. So I don't see how you could tell us that we all have the right to a rice meeting, but a rice
Notice.
a rice notice. Thank you. And when we asked for one, we're denied and said that we only get one, and we get one as a representative.
I think what you're missing is that was a short-term, last-minute thing, a way she was trying to address it this month. What could have happened is she could have said, I'll put you all on for next month, and you can all come in next month. And she didn't want to do that, 'cause she knew you wanted to be heard immediately. So she was attempting to make an adjustment for that. But what I also said is, you could all go and talk to the administrator and maybe get some of your questions answered. She is not just the township clerk, she's the township administrator, she is the supervisor of all employees, including the pool. So anyone can go and speak to her and get a lot of the information they would get from coming to council.
And what would that time period be to get the rice notice for the current meeting and not the next meeting?
It would depend, and I think what we've already said is that this came through a rumor, through a staff member at the pool, this didn't come through a channel, an email was sent, we'd all...
Well, we attempted to. It was an email that was
And I
sent.
think that's what Councilman Wright was trying to understand when that came in, but this council as a whole did not know about your concerns until Ms. Still said, I heard a rumor, I think we should address it.
Okay, and just to finish off, based on the insulting offer of $7.75 per hour this season after the lifeguards approached the township requesting to be properly compensated, I submit my resignation as a lifeguard effective immediately. I'm incredibly discouraged by the lack of concern on this matter, especially after it was explained how lifeguards are first responders to emergencies at the pool long before a police officer can arrive, as well as the costs incurred by lifeguards to obtain training and certification. I do not want to work for an employer whose pay is significantly below state minimum wage. When comparing our current wages to established local rates, our wages are significantly lower for the exact same job. The township has shown in the past that it is willing to pay above average salaries for other employees in their respective jobs, but in this case, it is paying well below average for its lifeguards. Does anybody want this resignation?
And I would just make the recommendation, just like we do in all our public meetings, if people are going to repeat the same thing, you don't have to read, if you're going to hand in your letter, you don't have to read your whole letter, you can just say, I have the same letter. I think you all want to go home too, so. We do that at planning board meetings too, if someone's going to come in and say, I said the same thing as them. I would just make that suggestion.
My name is Kendra Bain, 416 Daniel Drive, and I have the same letter.
My name is Marley McCormick, and I live at 234 Arbor Drive. Lopatcong Township, based on the insulting offer of $7.75 an hour, after the lifeguards approached the township requesting to be properly compensated, I submit my resignation as a lifeguard, effective immediately. I'm incredibly discouraged by the lack of concern on this matter, especially as was explained how the lifeguards are first responders to emergencies at the pool long before a police officer can arrive, as well as the costs endured by lifeguards to obtain training and certification. I do not want to work for an employer who pays significantly below state minimum wage. When comparing our current wages to other established local rates, our wages are significantly lower for the exact same job. The township has shown in the past that it's willing to pay above average salaries for other employees in their respective jobs, but in this case is willing to pay below average lifeguard wages. Thank you. Marley McCormick.
Hello, my name is Francesca Palmisano, 814 Lopatcong Street, Belvedere, New Jersey. Lopatcong Township, based on the insulting offer of $7.75 an hour, after lifeguards approached the township requesting to be properly compensated, I submit my resignation as a lifeguard effective immediately. I am incredibly discouraged by the lack of concern on this matter, especially after it was explained how lifeguards are first responders to emergencies at the pool long before a police officer can arrive, as well as the costs incurred by lifeguards to obtain training and certification. I do not want to work for an employer who pays significantly below state minimum wage. When comparing our current wages to other established local rates, our wages are significantly lower for the exact same job. The township has shown in the past that it is willing to pay above average salaries for other employees in their respective jobs, but in this case, it is paying well below average lifeguard wages.
Quincy Herdline, 431 Daniel Drive.
What was your name?
Quincy Herdline. I understand we've put you in a tight spot. Like, I know there is some room, a little wiggle room in the budget, but I know this was short notice. But I know deep in your hearts you want to give us a raise. You're not bad people. You're not out to get us. But I'm sorry we have to do this, just as a show of force. Same letter. Thank you.
Angelina Sajaci, 52 Kyle Drive, and I also have the same letter.
Kazan Frith, 320 Hamilton Drive. I also have the same letter.
Olivia Powers, 524 Dory Place. Before I say I have the same letter, I'd just like to say I've been coming to the pool since I was a little girl. I was friends with the lifeguards when I was a little kid. I always looked up to them. I wanted to be like them. And I'm also on the swim team. This is going to be my 12th year on the swim team last year. And it does sadden me to do this, but I do have the same letter. Jacqueline Powers, 524 Dory Place. I have the same letter. Emma Mallory, 214 Arbor Drive. I also have the same letter.
Eli Mallory, 214 Arbor Drive. I actually have 8 of the letters, so I have them for everyone who couldn't make it tonight. But I just want to say, all of us really do kind of enjoy our job. The reason we're quitting is because we're getting offered to make more money to do the exact same thing at a different pool. So if, in whatever your emergency plan is, you end up increasing pay, it doesn't make sense to me that you wouldn't be willing to hire back the same people. It's a little different because, I understand what you said, that all your employees would quit and then want to be rehired for a higher rate, but that's a little different because there aren't surrounding municipalities actually willing to pay them a higher rate. So in this case, I think it's a little different. I don't know if that's really an accurate comparison to make because, like I said, it is competitive. We are going to get more money to literally do the exact same thing, so I don't understand why you wouldn't be willing to rehire us again in the future, but here are my 8 letters.
Jill McCormick, 234 Arbor Drive. I'm left, I don't want these kids to leave here tonight without, they know way more than I do about this process, but I just don't know how it came to this. How did it get through that for 10 years this salary wasn't reviewed? I just how did it come to this? And to leave it up to the kids and now saying, well, I'm sorry, but it's last minute. There has been talk for years amongst the kids, evidently. And I just want to state again how proud I am for finally, having the guts to come up here and speak about this matter. But what I just want to say is I'm left with, I'm confused. I heard something about Friday, that they could change their mind
I'll reiterate that when everyone's done. I'll reiterate it. So
by Friday. Okay. Another gentleman suggested that they wait until after the second reading. Is that because anything can possibly change between now and the second reading?
Second reading is for 2018.
And it's also a month from now.
Yeah, it's a month from now. So just to reiterate, while you're here, the council's position is that if anyone, including the 8 people who weren't here tonight, didn't hear all of this, if any of them have a change of heart between now and Friday, they are more than welcome to come back in and we will rescind their resignation and they are welcome to continue to be employed by the pool. If they want to come in that time and maybe speak with the administrator, maybe get some of their questions answered, maybe that will help them. I also think this council thinks that maybe some of them think that we can't operate without them and that we would be forced to
I think there were a lot of things said that weren't necessarily the...
Sure. I just think maybe between now and Friday, when they realize that the pool is going to operate, the town is going to have to go into its contingency plan, and maybe that's not what they thought when they wrote those letters, that they have, this council doesn't want them to leave. So if by Friday they change their mind, by all means, call Ms. Diltz, come in, and she will hand them back their letter.
And I'm just confused too. So they were offered a 50-cent per hour raise. Is
We
that...
have to do that by ordinance. we'd have to do it by ordinance, but it could be retroactively. But that was, I think, I don't want to get in too much to it. But
Okay,
that's
but-
a discussion she could have, but
So there is a possibility of a 50-cent per hour raise.
I would say that offer's on the table, that's
Yeah.
what was offered, that's there.
So, and where is that money coming from? Is that,
That's what we can grab out of the budget.
like, from where?
no, I
Like,
think with what you explained, within the various line items, you
Okay.
can't move within the line items, but within the salary line item, I think the CFO has examined it. Now, it may put the town in a bad spot, because maybe our pool operator or someone like that, we have to get sick and we have to hire someone, things like that could happen, but I think they've determined that that's as much wiggle room as we have within pool salaries, and that's what we could financially do within the current adopted budget. For next year, we've got an ordinance, and we're gonna have to budget for that,
So,
wherever it comes
I
from.
understand that this was kind of a last minute. Is there any way to relook at that? Well, the 50-cent per hour raise was...
Like I said, within the current adopted budget, that is something that I think the CFO feels comfortable with, and the council would have to do it by ordinance, first and second reading. But like I said, it could be a retroactive thing. Yeah, he doesn't like that as much, but...
I think it's for 50 cents for the people coming back. It's not for the first brand new.
Which the majority of these kids are.
I don't know. Okay, I'm new here too. So, yeah. Can I say something? Yeah, I prepare a budget, and the council depends on the help that I provide them. When I looked at the rates, I didn't see it. I apologize. Nobody came forward. I hadn't heard any commotion that this
These
is
are
out
all
there.
18 and under
I
kids,
know,
and I
know,
just...
but usually when people leave at the end of the season, they'll let you know. I mean, I've been at other towns, and the kids would come in, other towns. I had a lake community, and they would come in, and they would kind of indicate, boy, you're low here, you're low there. I don't know if I want to come back. It's just to give you a little warning and all. But here, you also got part-time people here. Where I was before, you had a full-time recreation person. The town tries to do the best it can.
Absolutely.
Believe me, with part-time people, and you lose translation sometimes. And we can't afford to have a full-time recreation person. We can't.
I
know,
do firmly believe that if they were adults, this would have been taken care of sooner, and I do agree that,
There's some people here that haven't had a raise in 3 years. They're adults.
10, we're talking.
And I have to say, I think if they were adults, and this is just my impression, if they were adults, that 50 cents wouldn't be on the table. It would have been, you signed up, that's what you signed up for, but knowing what they're dealing with, they feel for them, and they're trying, and that's all within the current budget that they can squeak out.
The other thing too, just so that you can just remember back to being 17, 18 years old. When you're 17 or 18 years old, like, far ahead is 3 weeks. Okay, so that's where they're coming from.
And I think even for adults, municipal governments,
I mean,
far
I'm
ahead
day to day. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but anyway, I do hope that you can give them credit for the fact that they started talking about this. Yes, the email wasn't sent maybe until 3 weeks ago. Again, I think in their minds, that's being ahead of the game. And this is a learning process for them, but that doesn't, take away from the fact that now I'm going to step into my membership. I am a member of the Lopatcong pool, and I have younger children. And what I am not sure of is any contingency plan that I can possibly think of is going to be more expensive than negotiating or whatever the term is with these current lifeguards. There's just no possible way that there's just no way that there's a contingency plan whereby people will come and work at the pool. I'm not saying that it should be a background, whatever it's called. I'm not familiar with any of those terms, but there's just no way. And then also too, I mean, so is the pool going to potentially not open? Is that a possibility?
The town will have to consider everything and see what they can do, and until, you know, what's happening is happening, then they have to act.
So, it's for certain that if the town goes to the contingency plan, that none of these kids could be considered.
I can't speak for council, but I highly doubt that if we have to go to another plan, that they would do that. Like I said, they're all welcome back, you know, if they change their minds, but
by Friday.
We have to see who comes back, whether they come back, you know, Beth is gonna have to deal with. She's gonna have a busy week trying to figure all this out, at the last minute, so in an attempt not to.
I know, I just would encourage the council to think about it. I mean, just to think realistically about what a contingency plan is going to cost. And that's not to be backhanded and just try to, you know, but I can't foresee a situation where the pool could stay open and that it would be cost effective. So, I do wish there was a way that you could reconsider and help these kids learn the negotiation process. Like I
think
said,
that's what council has been suggesting, is that we're trying to do everything we can this year. We're willing to discuss and educate, and there's some extra things that they've already put in place for this year that's part of that ordinance. It was, I know, vouchers and t-shirts and things, and that's not the money they want. But that's what could be done. And so I think what the town is attempting to do is to educate, to do what they can, and also have a sign of good faith for next year. I think if you saw the rates on that ordinance...
But do what they can. Is that leave any room open? Is there anything between now and Friday?
No, legally, other than the 50 cents that was on the table.
But the 50 cents, if that's legal, I don't understand why more isn't legal.
I think I've explained this. It's not in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Oshevsky Highlands Way. Knowing that these guys are here, why we not wait with the adoption of the budget until we have that straightened out? I mean, we have the option today to wait until the end, have these guys speak.
We've
and
already adopted the budget, yeah.
And since these guys have not been paid for 7 years, you say people have not been paid for 3 years. Who's taking care of making sure that everybody in the township is getting a raise and not some?
Our mayor should be going.
So, Mr. Steinhardt first, for the last, and then Tom?
Right?
I should be in charge, but
Of knowing what's happening? No, I'm just, not finding fault with you. You're the guy everybody's looking at. I think...
Nobody's looking at me, I don't run the pool.
You've been here 3 years.
Yeah, but the town should be making sure that everybody's getting their equal share when it comes to raises and not just, I don't know how that is being handled, and maybe, since these guys are here, you can give these guys a lesson in education and civics and whatnot, how this works. And the last thing I would like to say is, I'm here for like 5 years now. I have not seen yet once that at the end of the year, middle of the year, when money was needed, that you couldn't find any. I mean, we bought fire trucks for...
I think you just heard, they found 50 cents for every employee.
I think if you look hard enough and we skip the video cameras, we find a little bit more.
What you don't understand is the video cameras are a different line item.
I know.
You can't use that money. Even if we said no video cameras, that money can't be moved into salaries. Legally, it cannot be moved.
For all the time I'm here, I think today is one of the saddest day I have witnessed. I really did, Lou. And it's not due to their fault. We have been told the pool is making money for the last 5 years, and if it really does, pay these kids properly. All right?
So, today I realized how slow, democracy is. 2 weeks is a long time, a month is a long time to wait. Is there any way that emergency council meetings can be held to expedite the process of either getting a raise or negotiating any additional perks or benefits? along with the manual checks that the ordinance that you listed today?
I really, you're just not hearing it. The budget is the budget is the budget. There's an offer on the table. We're putting an ordinance in place for next year where we can budget, we can adjust pool fees, the whole Megillah, but there's nothing going to happen over the next month. You have an offer, you have to decide what you want to do.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I don't really understand how, like, when a pool member comes up here, you say that you have a contingency plan in place, and then when we come up here and ask if it's possible that anything can be done, you say, like, it's not possible, it's not going to happen because the budget's set. Like, I don't understand why we wouldn't be able to
You're
work.
next in an action with the budget. We'll take whatever actions we need to take. The budget is the budget. We're just recycling this over and over and over. You heard what we have to say, so you all have to make your decision.
All right, I don't like how this is going, but I think we're just tied, our hands are tied here because of the legalities of it.
Right, exactly. We all want to help you guys. Unfortunately, as the CFO stated, the money isn't in for what you're asking for, because the budget has been approved. We had a workshop. The problem on your end is that you guys came too late, and it's a lesson that learned for all of you guys in the future. Usually, as you said before, you at the end of the season, and if you see something that you want to negotiate, you do it well before the new budget is even thought about. This way, it's on the table. And when we come to introduce it, or workshop, we discuss it. And that's the problem here. I think that you guys came a little too late. So to reach out and grab money out of nowhere, because there are line items, and we can't just move money over. I'm sad to hear that all you guys are resigning. I hope you reconsider and work with us. We want to work with you. So please reconsider. And moving forward, this will be a lesson for all of us to learn, that we help each other.
I want to make one comment to try to help everybody just close out the issue, because I do think it's been talked to death. So you guys are free to do whatever you want. Honestly, I think you've said everything you need to say. I think they do get it. I just hope everybody realizes, because I am hearing talk coming their way, and I told you I agree with it entirely too. They came too late. But in all reality, it wasn't their job to have to come to you guys. Somebody along the way, whether it's 7 or 10 years, should have been doing something about it.
Like I said, we all learned something.
Exactly. And again, I think everybody needs to understand the main point is they're not in the streets or something, that's, not critical. They are doing a really important job. So I think what the issue here is, they'll decide what it is that they want to do. Do they possibly want to try to see what you guys could do? Meet with Ms. Diltz, meet with whomever. I just feel that they feel that $775 for the upcoming year really isn't going to be enough when they know what else is out there. And I realize the resolution is for the next year, but I don't know how many of them really care about the next year, because many of them are about to go off to college next year and will be at a different point in their life. So what the rate of pay is next year isn't really going to help them. So that'll be a separate issue for those that'll return. So I hope they'll think about it too, and I hope you'll think about it. I just want everybody to realize, I understand you're saying your hands are tied, but $775 still not really going to cut it for them. They have to spend about 40 hours to earn enough to cover their certifications. That's about 2 weeks' work for all of them, for as often as they get scheduled and actually get paid. And the pool season's only about 12 to 13 weeks long, so you need to keep that as part of it. So, guys, do what you like, but
I suggest we bring this to a close. We're not really getting anywhere.
Yeah, we're going to do that. I'll take a motion to adjourn. What? Oh, we have to close out public, all
Open public comment, you don't need to, but since you did, I suggest you.
right, motion to close public comment?
Motion to close it.
Any, second? All right, all in favor? Motion to adjourn?
We got the bills, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?